Hey everyone, welcome back. I am so glad you're here. I'm here today in honor of Mother's Day because Mother's Day is coming really soon and I thought it was the perfect time to give you my favorite tools and tips to help mamas get organized in the kitchen and with cooking more at home without having it feel so overwhelming, because it can be when your life is so crazy and you've got so much to do. So today I'm going to give you so many tips from why routine is great for kids, and it's also your best ally in the kitchen, to teaching you my kitchen binder trick, batch cooking tips, and meal planning. We're going to talk about the moment of shopping and so much more. So if you're a stay-at-home mom or if you work from home or out of the home, you're going to find these tips so helpful if you're a busy bee like most moms are. And if you're not a mom yet, that's okay, because these tips are also going to help you if you have a busy life and you're trying to get things organized. So this was kind of designed, this video was made thinking about mamas, but this will help you too, because these are the tips I use in my daily life as well. So we're going to get started right now. Now, I'm not a mom, unless you count my beautiful furry babies, of course, but I know that's something completely different. And I'm not a mother, but I have worked with kids for many years, and many moons ago, I was in charge of feeding 25 toddlers at the same time in a center in which I worked at. And this was a center for abandoned and foster kids, and we had kids of all ages, and I also had to work with the very small, infants at some times. But one of my main jobs at the center in the period in which I worked there was mealtime. So I had to feed and make sure that all of these toddlers were eating at the same time. 25. That's a crazy number of kids eating at the same time. So I know and I understand how willful kids can be. I understand that. I know how kind of stressful and just unnerving mealtime can be. And I just have to tell you, I don't know how you mamas do it. I do not know how you do it. After seeing my friends and my family have kids of their own, it is truly a remarkable feat. It's something that it takes everything you have to, just get this toddler fed and on its way and onto school, and with everything else that has to do with raising kids, right? So my hat's off to you. I don't know how you manage to do this day in and day out and also take care of yourself. It's really challenging, I know it. And the best way I can describe it, after seeing so many of my friends and family have their kids and see them growing up, is that having kids is basically like having an adult ADHD kind of imposed on you by a teeny tiny human. And it can be so crazy, right? You can be grabbing Legos with one hand and picking up dirty clothes with the other hand and wishing you had a third hand to stir the pasta sauce. So I understand how complicated life gets when you have kids and these tiny humans that are calling for your attention at all times. And if you have more than one, don't even get me started. Kids are also so picky and stubborn and willful when it comes to food and what they like and what they refuse to eat and all of those different stages that they go through. I've seen all of this, and I know that it's hard and it's difficult, especially when you're juggling so many things in the air at the same time and running lists and all of these things you amazing mamas do all the time. So my hat's off to you. Hopefully the list of tips that I'm about to give you will help ease this a little bit and will help you on this journey. This is such an important job, raising decent and caring human beings. Don't ever let anybody tell you that this is not an important job. It's one of the most important ones. Hopefully I'll be able to help with the practical aspects a little bit, at least when it comes to the kitchen. Tip number one is you have to get organized. And when it comes to saving time throughout the week, that time needs to come from somewhere, right? You need those extra moments from somewhere. And organization is where it's at. When you're organized, things kind of fall into place. And this comes in perfect timing. And this was kind of the inspiration behind today's video, because we're doing a whole Getting Organized series in our online program. And it kind of got all of those, creative juices flowing to create the list that I'm giving you now. So getting organized is so essential. And when it comes to cooking, the number one thing that I think helps moms the most is to plan out meals. So you can do this in several ways. You can plan out meals, for example, during the weekend. You take 30 minutes or 20 minutes to just sit down, pen and paper, write these down. Don't leave these in your head. It's very important to write them down. Write out the meals that you're gonna have the following week, and then you can go shopping, make your grocery list and go shopping. This is one method. Another method is you go shopping, you buy your usual staples or anything that looks good, and then you make your list based on what you bought. When it comes to planning your meals, it is essential that you take a look at where you put each of those dinners or lunches when it comes to your schedule, right? You want to make sure that you actually have the time to prepare that particular meal on that particular day. So try to choose things that are quick and easy to assemble on days in which you're really busy. Take this into account and pair them together. Tip number 2 is to embrace routine. Now, with all my years teaching children, I can tell you that kids thrive on routine and consistency, right? And when it comes to mealtime, you can use this to your advantage. Not only is it going to make your life easier, but it's also going to help them kind of look forward to meals, and things are going to kind of run much smoother at home. So things like having lasagna night or pizza night or taco night, things like that, they really help. Kids thrive on this kind of routine. When it comes to teaching, we use this all the time in schools. That's why we have circle time and story time and notebook time. Kids totally thrive on this. And when it comes to meal times, not only are you gonna be prepared because you're gonna know that you need those staples on any given day, but they're gonna start looking forward to meals, especially if you make their favorite foods those rituals and those habitual meals that you have on Monday nights or on Tuesday nights. They're gonna start looking forward to them. And you're gonna prevent some of that, picky eater battlefield that occurs at mealtime sometimes. It really helps. Tip number 3 has to do with shopping, and with a little tool that I sometimes teach people that they have never even thought of because it seems kind of indulgent or something that really doesn't take up much of their time, so why do it this way? And it has to do with using the power of online shopping. We use it for our books, for our electronics, for our kids' toys, for a lot of things, but we don't think of it when it comes to foods and staples for the house, cleaning supplies, things like that. And you can buy so many things online. You can buy things in bulk online, and even most supermarkets offer the option of delivering groceries, and you can just make your selection online. This can save you up to an hour or to an hour and a half each week if you can do it in this way, if it's within your means. Some supermarkets charge extra for delivery costs. Some kind of charge nothing at all or a very, very minimum fee, and this can free up so much of your time. And there are so many things that that you buy that you can just, with a click of a button, buy as well and have it delivered right to your door. So if this is within your means, this is something that is really helpful. Now, of course, many of you might not be able to do this. The stores in your area might not offer this, but it's also a good opportunity to kind of do a little research online, because places like Amazon also deliver, and you can kind of find some of those bulk items that you keep buying and that you can just have in stock, and that will reduce a little bit of the stress when it comes to shopping and also having to haul all of those groceries home, which can also take a lot of energy and which is hard when you have toddlers and kids running around, right? Now, if you don't have the possibility of shopping online, or you just love going shopping because for a lot of people, this is something that's enjoyable. It gets your creativity flowing when it comes to planning your meals, so that's perfectly fine. So I do also have some tips for you. Always make a list, and if you're planning those meals in advance, that's gonna help you a ton when it comes to going to your grocery store. Stick to your list. That's also gonna help you stick to your budget. And if you're going shopping with your kiddos and they're coming along, and you have the kids who are trying to grab everything, they want you to buy this and buy that. A great tool that I use in the classroom all the time when kids kind of want to take over is to give them the option ahead of time. So you can tell each of your kids, or if you only have one, you can tell them, okay, you can pick one special thing that we're gonna take home with us, and they're gonna be on the lookout for that special thing. They're gonna be focused on it, and they know that they get the special treat, and that's gonna be very helpful when it comes to managing those kiddos in the supermarket. Now, tip number 4 has so much to do with shopping because it's what happens after you're back home with your groceries. And this is really important. I want you to take 20 minutes to kind of organize everything in your fridge. You can pre-cut some vegetables, you can wash things out and dry them and keep them ready in the fridge for when you're gonna cook. You can chop some veggies and have things prepared for a stir fry, for example, or have a little salad bar ready by just cutting up some vegetables and keeping them in a container. That's what a salad bar means. It just means you have a container with ready, vegetables that are already cut that you can add to whatever it is you're making. These types of things really help when you come back from the store. But that's not my favorite tip for when you come back to the store. And out of everything I'm teaching you today, I think this is one of the most helpful things. I want you to make a list that you're gonna stick to your refrigerator that includes the meals that you can create with the things that you have just bought. Because the moment of shopping and the moment you're putting everything away, a lot of ideas come to mind of things that you can fix up quickly, lunches for the kids, or breakfast ideas, or things for lunch or for dinner. And I want you to take the moment to make a list, stick it to your fridge. That way you know what you have and you have those options already available. From here, you can add this to your meal plan if you created one, but if you didn't create a meal plan and you didn't have time for that, this little list is gonna save you because you're gonna be able to just look at this if you have those blank moments in which you don't know what to cook, where so much time is wasted. So much time is wasted when you have no idea what you're gonna make for dinner. You look at the list, you open the fridge, and the things for making that dish are right in there. Tip number 5 is quite similar, and it's to keep a kitchen binder. This is different from a recipe binder. A kitchen binder is just a little binder with just a few sheets of paper in which you have lists, bullet lists of meal ideas that everybody in the family loves, and also maybe some quick, mention of ingredients. If, for example, you make a salad dressing from scratch that you really love, but you never remember the ingredients or the amounts, you can jot those down. And this is just a little folder with 2 or 3 pages with lists. And that way you can go through them if you kind of don't know what to make and you need a little inspiration either for planning out your meals or for cooking on that day. It really helps. Tip number 6 is to start teaching autonomy. This is something really important when it comes to kids, right? Of course, at some ages you can't do this yet, but many kids that are a little bit older and teenagers as well, this is something that's really important. And what do I mean by this? You can kind of shop for some ingredients and cut up some vegetables and put them in the fridge, buy some dips or make some dips at home where kids can kind of become a little more autonomous when it comes to snacks, for example. So although you might be in charge of the big meals, snacks are something, they're a good practice place for kids to kind of start assembling their own dishes and putting things together, and you can involve them in the chopping process or in the making the dips process, and they're gonna start having a better appreciation of all the work you do. They're gonna appreciate mealtime at home and the time you spent together. And it's gonna give them autonomy. It's gonna give you a little break. If these things are things that are at arm's reach in the fridge and they can just grab and take them, it's gonna free up some time and it's gonna teach them a little something, and it's gonna get them curious about the process of cooking a little bit more. Now, right here is where I have to insert a big disclaimer. Not all of these tips are gonna work for all parents, and not all of these tips are gonna work for all kids. Kids are worlds apart, and things that work for some are just gonna cause eye rolling in others. That's just the way it goes. So just keep your kid in mind and use and take what you like and leave what you don't. Test things out and see what works and what doesn't. Tip number 7 is to enlist some help. You can give your kids chores and you can enlist their help when it comes to mealtime and clearing up those dishes and cleaning up the kitchen after you have meals. And of course, this goes with your significant other if you share your home with them, or with anybody who shares your home with you. So this is something that's really important for mamas to remember because they want to do it all, and sometimes a little help is really helpful. So another couple of things that have to do with help and that you can use as those moments for people to actually give you assistance with is, for example, keep your kitchen counters very clear. So at night when you're done with dinner, there are a couple of things I always recommend people do, and it's put everything away, fill up that dishwasher, turn it on, and keep the kitchen counters clear. This is going to be much more inviting for the next time you have to prepare a meal. Tip number 8 is something you've heard me talk about 100 times before probably, and it's to redefine convenience foods and keep them in the house. Now, this not only counts for things for your kids, but also for you. You know, moms are always focused on healthy foods for their kids and they don't think about themselves. So having some convenience foods that make things easier, it doesn't mean unhealthy. It means that you can buy some staples, you can redefine convenience foods and just keep some things in the house that are gonna make the process easier for you. Now, they tend to cost a little bit more than if you're cooking and making everything from scratch, but usually it's well worth it. And I'm not talking about something crazy or incredibly expensive here, or a meal delivery service. I'm talking about things like canned beans, canned tomatoes, frozen fruits for smoothies or for making, any kind of sorbets or desserts at home. Things like, pre-cut vegetables and pre-washed mixes of salad greens. This can save you time in the kitchen. It doesn't take away any of the nutrition behind things. Having frozen vegetables as well. Having things like pizza bases ready in the freezer so that you can take them out, add a little bit of sauce and your favorite toppings, and you can pop that in the oven and have dinner ready in minutes. So these types of things, these are great options. Having snacks for your kids, and sometimes, some ready prepared meals. This isn't a crime. You're trying to save time, quality time with your kids is also so important. And it's okay if, some days you don't feel like making this entire meal from scratch. It's totally fine. Another part of redefining convenience is to batch cook, and batch cooking is my secret weapon, and I've left it towards the end because I think it's so important. Now, batch cooking doesn't mean that you have to spend 3 days preparing the whole month's worth of meals. That can be so overwhelming. I know it works for some people, but it can be, very stressful, and it also means that you have to buy a whole bunch of groceries at the same time. It can be not as practical as what I want to kind of suggest. So what I suggest is that you just take 1 hour a week, or whatever time you have. If you have a little bit more, you can make a little bit more, and just kind of get in the kitchen and cook some staples that you'll have ready-made in the fridge. This is the best form of convenience. It means the meals are ready. You don't have to make the full meal, you just make some of the components, and that way you just take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes to create a meal that is ready-made and delicious and home-cooked for your family. So here are some of my favorite things that I like to do in my batch cooking sessions. You can always cook a batch of grains like brown rice or quinoa or whatever grain you like. You can make a batch of lentils or beans or a pot of chili, a stew, a soup, and make a big batch and freeze some of it in containers. And that way you have lots to use up throughout the week. You can make a big batch of pasta sauce. This also freezes beautifully. You can make a dip, for example, think of guacamole or hummus or a bean dip, and cut up some vegetables. And there you have some ready-made snacks that you can put in lunch boxes or have as a snack yourself. They're so good. You can make a salad dressing, a big jar of a healthy salad dressing at home that can last you for the whole week. You can create a stir-fry combo. Now, stir-fry combos are one of my favorite things. It means I chop lots of veggies, I put them in the container, and whenever I need a quick meal, I just take out my wok or my pan and I add those vegetables. They're already washed, they're already cut. It's so easy. All I need to add is a little soy sauce or anything I like, any type of Asian sauce I like, and it's ready. You can also make a big batch of veggie burgers, for example, and freeze them. You can put some fruits in baggies for smoothies or make a fruit salad, which is also a great snack idea. You can also roast a big batch of vegetables and keep them in containers for using throughout the week. Tip number 10 is to say bye-bye to perfection. Kids don't require you to be a perfect mother. They do not require you to be a perfect cook. All they really require is care and attention and lots of love. And when I mean attention, I mean your focused attention, your full attention. That's the thing kids crave more than anything. And you don't have to be perfect. You can use these tips and tools. I hope these helped you to kind of, have a little edge when it comes to getting organized. If you can get organized, you can stop kind of zeroing in on that list in your head that has all of those tasks and to-do lists, and start focusing on those cutie pies that are in front of you that are, that they need your love, they need your attention, and they need time spent and shared together. And this also includes, by the way, taking care of yourself. And by yourself, I mean the you that you were before you had them. This is so important. You have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure that you're eating okay too, that you're enjoying yourself, that you have a little me time, that you can pamper yourself a little bit. This is not an indulgence. This is actually a secret ingredient for making you feel sane and happy. And that is such an important part of raising healthy and happy children. Now, I also have a little surprise for you so you can take this further, and so all of these tips can come together and especially help you with the planning of all of these meals throughout the week. I am including 7 printable ideas and 7 printables that you can download and print at home for those meal planners, and these are by Organized Mom. I thought these were pretty cool, and we're also including 2 versions that we designed especially for you. I hope these help you. I hope these tips help you. I hope you get a chance to take care of yourself and spend time with your cutie pies this Mother's Day. And of course, as usual, I'll see you again soon in our next video. Bye-bye.